Good morning once again to all of our viewers, our special guests, and our respected speakers. A very warm welcome to our distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Himadri Lahiri, Acting Vice Chancellor of the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh, Professor Shamshad Mortaza, special guest, Professor Imran Rahman, advisor to the ULAB Board of Trustees, presenters, faculty members, students, and participants. Thank you all for joining us at the opening ceremony of the two-day international colloquium from Kabuliwala to the Fall of Kabul, Afghanistan in Popular Imagination, organized by the Department of English and Humanities at ULAB. With the recent fall of Kabul, Afghanistan has surfaced in political and critical discourses. The graveyard of empires, as it is known, the popular imagination of the country has been a source to draw courage from for subalterns the world over. For us in South Asia, the figure of the Afghan has often exerted a lot of popular appeal, starting from Rabindranath Tagore's Kabuliwala to the recent imagination of the exotic and the romantic being played out in creative media. We bring you this virtual colloquium to unpack and engage in conversation about these issues relating to Afghanistan. To begin, I would like to invite Dr. Khan Tausif Osman, convener of this colloquium and research fellow at the Department of English and Humanities at ULAB, to please share his opening remarks.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Thank you so much. A very good morning, everyone. Dear friends, colleagues, speakers, presenters, chairs, moderators, students, academics, and researchers, and you, dear audience, a very good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on wherever you are. I hope you are all safe and healthy. We have come here today to inaugurate the International Virtual Colloquium on From Kabuliwala to the Fall of Kabul, Afghanistan in Popular Imagination, organized by the Department of English and Humanities, University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh, taking place on the 30th and 31st October 2021. 3 hours before the Kabul was taken over by the Taliban, I was chatting on WhatsApp with one of my former Afghan students and told her I was worried. This girl has lived as a refugee in 3 different countries so far. She also belongs to the minority Hazara ethnicity, one of the most persecuted in the world. She told me, trust me when I tell you this, she told me not to worry. She said she would meet me somewhere in the world very soon, somewhere else. We agreed to stay in touch. This girl, Samira Panahi, is with us here today. I posted some screenshots of our chats on Facebook, and a senior academician got in touch. He said, our messages touched him, and let's get in touch with some other people to organize this colloquium. This senior academician, Professor Shamshad Mortaza, is here with us today, who is the acting vice chancellor of the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh. Also with us is Professor Imran Rahman, special advisor to the ULAB Board of Trustees, whose address by the special guest inaugurates this occasion. With us is a very hardworking human being, an associate professor and head of DEH, Arifa Ghani Rahman, to deliver the vote of thanks. Let me thank her first. So it is also the touch, the transnational connection, a global network, a virtual medium that has brought us all here today to reflect responsibly, sincerely on the popular imagination of Afghanistan. Here we keep an open mind to warring ideas and perspectives, stories and narratives. If you look at the ideas we explored through the different sessions of our colloquium, you will witness stories and narratives in critical yet responsible dialogues. A part of the colloquium consists of a creative a contest of university students practicing creative arts in different media on the theme of the flight from Kabul. Critical creativity and creative criticality are then within the fabric of this colloquium. For the next item of the inaugural session, I brought some of my Afghan female students in touch with young, talented Bangladeshi girls who are also ULAB students in the Department of English and Humanities from the Scholars Program. What we will witness today is the consequence of their getting in connection with each other for a very short period of time. I really hope they touched each other's lives. While I'm writing this at 1:30 in the morning, I have also been chatting with Khadija Moniz, one of the Afghan girls around whom the next item is organized. She has been diagnosed with TB today. She's being taken to isolation right now when I was writing. But she tells me, Professor, I'm trying to get a Wi-Fi connection here in the isolation ward. Such is the eagerness of Afghans to speak to the world. But are we listening? She has won, she has just won a very prestigious scholarship at Cornell University recently. Mina Mustaq is here also. She is the daughter of the artist Mohammad Naim Mustaq, the spokesperson of Bamiyan Arts Center. Mimna will speak about herself and her father's paintings. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you may have guessed, the theme of the ULAB Afghan Colloquium 2021, day one, is what you esteemed scholars may term critical empathy. That is the theme of our day. It is the idea of the coming together of people across countries, cultures, communities, across screens and oceans. The responsible networking, the healing in each other's existence. I welcome you all to the ULAB Afghan Colloquium. We are truly sorry for the couple of occasions of miscommunication with our honored guests. We had extremely short lead time, but that's not an excuse. Our sincere apologies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Usman, for contextualizing this colloquium. As our convener mentioned, we are honored to be able to begin this event with the voices of Afghan women live from refugee camps in the US. Can I please invite our student host, Tasnuba Afrin, to introduce our speakers for this part of the event, which is titled Afghan Letters to the World.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. To all the respectable faculty members, conference attendees, and students, good morning and a very warm welcome to today's conference and our session, Afghani Letters. This is Tasnuba Afrin from the Department of English and Humanities, batch 192. And in this section of the program, we will focus on the introduction of three lovely ladies originally from the very world that is in discussion today, Afghanistan. The best way to learn about the struggles that continued its hallmark in this region would be to hear it from the mouth of the people who have experienced it. Hence, we are privileged to have these three Afghan women with us. It's an honor to hear them speak on this platform today, and I cannot thank them enough. Our volunteers have had stimulating conversations with their newly found friends, forming strong bonds and connections that would hopefully continue in the future. It was an honor to get to know them, and we want you to get acquainted with these girls as well. Without further ado, I would like to call Nishat Tabassum to introduce our first Afghani friend. Nishat Tabassum, the stage is yours.
I think Nishat needs to be unmuted. Can we have our IT team please add her as co-host?
Nishat, would you please wait for a couple of minutes? Yeah. The IT team needs, she's unmuted now. Yeah.
Thank you, Tasnupa, for providing me the floor. And greetings to one and all of you. I am Nisha Tabassum, an English and Humanities student at the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh. Here's presenting Samira Panahi, an alumni of AUW, who's currently residing at Wisconsin. My peer over here, she's also quite fond of traveling and meeting new people in the process. However, what made our bond more intimate, made our connection even made us connect more strongly is our personalities. We both like to bond with new people. Nevertheless, we sometimes gets difficult for us owing to our reservedness. We both have this issue of expressing ourselves, our feelings, and resort to writing diaries instead. Despite of it, the bond we formed feels more natural, owing to the fact that we both have a fair idea of human psychology, of reserved personalities to be more precise. That's it about my perception of my dear presenter. I would now like to offer Samira Panahi the virtual floor to discuss more about herself and her journey. Samira, over to you.
Thank you, Tabassum, for inviting me here. And hello, everyone, and good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. So here today, I'm gonna talk about my journey from Kabul to US. So before we started the journey, I want to talk about another story, which was started on the second day of the fall of Kabul by the Taliban. On that day, I took the risk of going out of the home. I have put my life in danger just to save my life from another danger, which was living under the Taliban regime. So I went out of my house to get 150 passports from an office, since the office were under the threat of Taliban. And of course, the Taliban never wanted a group of young, educated girls to leave the country to get education if they would have gone and found those passports before I was going there. Unsuccessfully, I took all the passports and hid them in the underground of our home. But while going to that office with a taxi, I witnessed the city with nothing. Shops, restaurants, hospitals, schools, everything was closed. Just a few cars were on the road. No police, no men, no women, no children, no doctors. Just a city full of terror, fear, and Taliban. And after 9 days from the fall of Kabul, we got to know that we have to leave the country. And we were a group of 150 girls who were on the buses ready to go to the airport and leaving everything and everyone behind. The drivers started driving toward the airport. After a few minutes, our bus supervisor said, "We need to return the girls back to their homes since there is a threat from the Taliban." And we returned back to our home on the first day. And on the second day, everyone was on the 7 buses hoping to enter the airport. All the buses were parked near the airport gate, waiting for a call from coordinators inside the airport to coordinate with Taliban to let us get in. But after almost 12 hours waiting on the buses, the bus supervisor said we have to move to another gate. It's not possible from the civilian gate. At that north gate, lots of buses were on the queue, including our buses, to enter the airport. But all of a sudden, some strangers just jumped into the buses, claiming that they're part of us. Though our group was approximately 150 girls and a few Bengali men only, but we didn't allow any of them inside the buses because we have been told that the list of names has been already shared with Taliban and US military to allow us to get into the airport. And when it was our turn to get to the buses, to get in the buses, the bus supervisor, when we were trying to just enter to the gate, the bus supervisor had to tell the Afghan soldiers which institution or company all the 7 buses belong to. And then he said a wrong name intentionally that didn't match with the names the soldiers had on his list. And the soldiers started shooting at the sky and were telling the bus drivers to leave the area and buses are not allowed to get in. I then realized those strangers were part of the plan for the transportation company or the bus supervisor, perhaps, to take those boys into the airport to our buses. And I have no idea how much each of them had paid to that bus supervisor or that transportation company. And we paid for this drive too. And for the next 14 hours, we were just roaming around the North Gate just because of the nonsense coordination of that transportation company. At the same time, I argued with that bus driver several times during those hours, and finally I stopped him with his nonsense decision, and I moved toward the civilian gate again. And then he left. When all the buses reached the civilian gate, we heard a bomb explosion from the area we had been roaming around just an hour ago. And here, for the next 10 hours, I, with my 4 friends, took control of the buses. And of course, everyone was very scared of the Taliban, and it got even scarier with each explosion. And despite all the difficulties, we were still insisting on entering the airport. At that time, I and the majority of us had one thing in our mind, either to die in Afghanistan or escape the country. And unfortunately, we failed to get into the airport that night because of the explosions. And the Taliban were continuously shooting and threatening us to leave the area. Otherwise, they would kill us. And we all returned back to home. And unlike the other times, my mom got sad that night when I came back home because she was praying for me all the time just to get into the airport, leave the country, and never come back to Afghanistan. But we never gave up. Again, on the next day, we all put our lives in danger just to get out of Afghanistan, though everybody was exhausted, scared, and lost. But still, everyone wanted to try again to get in, taking every chance we could. And this time, we made a better plan by assigning one person in each bus so that to get things under better control. All the 7 buses were parked in the airport road, waiting for a call from inside. And the whole night, I didn't close my eyes for a second just to make sure no stranger come closer to the bus because the buses were under the threat of Taliban. Anytime any bomb explosion could have happened. Even one of the Taliban had told our bus driver that when you feel ashamed helping the girls to leave the country, the girls could have stayed and got married to someone. And luckily, and finally, the next morning, everyone entered to the airport after passing the Taliban's checkpoints, except my sister and 2 other girls who didn't have passport. The Taliban took 3 of them out of the airport and were continuously threatening them with a wave to leave the area. And I had been telling them to be brave, don't be scared, don't argue with the Taliban, and just keep quiet. Meanwhile, I have been talking with the member of the US military about 3 of them. And after almost 3 hours, with the help of that military personnel, I don't know whom he was taking the order from, but he managed to bring my sister and 2 others inside the airport. But in those 3 hours, lots of things came to my mind. What if the Taliban takes 3 of them somewhere or just shoots them? But luckily we made it. And after almost 4 to 5 hours inside the airport, a military plane took us to the Saudi Arabia, and we were there for one night. Then we had a flight to Spain and spent 2 nights there. Then we come to Dallas, Virginia, and finally here in Wisconsin. Yeah, it was the story of my journey from Kabul to US. Thank you.
Thank you, Samira. And now I would like to invite Meher Abrar to introduce her peer. Meher, over to you.
Meher needs to be unmuted. She's there.
Good morning. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I am Meher Aber from DH, and this is my friend Khadija Monish from Afghanistan. I met her due to this conference, and honestly, I'm very thankful for that because I realized what an intelligent and compassionate person Khadija is. She witnessed a mother dying during labor because there was no medical care. That drove her to becoming a public health major in Asian University for Women. She dreams of opening a mother and child hospital in her village one day. We also bonded through our common interest in writing. Khadija is also the founder and the president of our history club in her university. Due to the tragic situation in Kabul, she is currently residing in America. But not to worry, because she will soon be joining the prestigious Cornell University. Now, I would like to invite my friend Khadija Muniz to say a few words. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'm sorry because the military is sitting and you have to wear a mask to contaminate the others. I'm just trying to put it for a while. So, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you so much. This is a great pleasure being to take this time and reflect on the current situation. This story includes me migrated to the different parts of the world after the collapse of Kabul by Taliban. I am the only one from my whole family who somehow managed to get out of Afghanistan through this evacuation process, which Samira already mentioned. My entire family live in Afghanistan under a serious condition. So I try to avoid talking to them because it hurts me when I feel hopeless and helpless to my family. Yesterday, I was in my class where I teach the adult females. So I gave them a task to write whatever they feel and whatever concerns they have on a piece of paper. So as a result, I got around 30 letters. The story is by a woman who says, I have a very limited resources of my basic needs, such as food, dress, and medical care. But I don't think of any of them. I just think about my 2 sons who are only 5 years old and they are left in Afghanistan. The second story tells, my 2 are in Afghanistan. How can I be happy in America? The third one belongs to a girl. She says, I have never had a happy day in my life. I had to fight for every single right, such as education and work, because I was a girl. The next story was about a pregnant woman. She says how badly she got separated from her husband on the airport. So the story goes on and on. Today, while I was standing in a line where we usually stay more than 3 hours to get a meal, we call it dining hall line. So I asked the young lady, she has 5 years old children in Afghanistan. She told me that I asked her, what is your biggest concern here? She said, the biggest concerns we have now is our lives and stability. We don't know where we will go and what will happen to our future. We are told to apply for asylum cases, whether we are eligible or not, which she says is unfair because we all will be escaped from Afghanistan because our lives were in danger, and now our families, relatives back are in danger. So she says the young girls, educated girls, and people are under a serious danger in Afghanistan. She also included that in my relatives, there are young girls who got married with 40 years old men because they are scared for being raped by Taliban soldiers. So these stories never end. I would love to end it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Khadija, for sharing your experience with us. I really do hope the situation in your homeland gets better. Now, I would like to invite my fellow volunteer friend, Monisha, to the virtual stage. Monisha, please introduce us to your friend. Thank you.
Please unmute her.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. Accompanying me today is Mina Mushtaq. She is a student at Asian University for Women in Liberal Arts and Sciences. There, she is majoring in PPE, which is politics, philosophy, and economics. She is also minoring in development studies. Beyond academia, she has over 2 years of experience in multiple administration work, and she has been involved with various NGOs too. Understandably, she has a lot of skills in her repertoire. She can offer mentorships and master training to businesses. She can manage the position of human resources. She can conduct data management activities, and the list is endless. So while we were speaking, I could sense her kindness. She herself felt a sense of responsibility from the beginning to help me and would ask me how I could be helped better when I was volunteering for this work. And when I spoke about myself, she has been friendly with me and encouraging me of my own dreams. So today, this lovely friend of mine will speak about her letter as well as the works of her father, Muhammad Naim Mushtaq. As a painter, her father produced multiple works intended to subvert the political system inflicted on the people of Hazara in Afghanistan. So now I'm giving the floor to Mina Mushtaq.
Thank you so much, executive directors and all excellences and distinguished guests from all across the world. Assalamu alaikum. It is an incredible honor to be invited to an occasion with such significance for today's generation, and thanks for paying a tribute to Afghanistan. On August 28th, I fled from my country, Afghanistan, and left behind my beloved family and country. I am the daughter of an artist whose life is at risk because of his work, ethnicity, culture, and history. Due to the consequence of my country falling into the hands of terrorists and close-minded groups, my father, Muhammad Naim, is unable to attend this conference, so I am here on his behalf to present some of his work and read this speech. Program organizers, guests, and arts lover, Assalamu alaikum. Afghanistan is a country with a long history, and it is one of the most controversial countries in the region. Many know of it from a political, military, and social history perspective, but few people have paid attention to its art, especially painting. Therefore, thank you for paying attention to Afghanistan art. I was interested in researching rare artistic masterpieces such as Buddha's statues. Based on this research, I paint many Buddhas and their biographical and historical context wrote about rich cultural history. I studied and wrote about the historians who lived in ancient province of Bamiyan. My paintings shows the cultural glory of Bamiyan and try to present its heritage. So far, I have created and still have in my home about 300 paintings, large and small, about the Buddha and the city of Bamiyan. My family in Afghanistan, my father Muhammad Naim, belongs to the Hazara ethnic minority group and Shia religion. We have been the target of mass genocide and persecution. The area of Bamiyan particularly threatened. The world's news channel covered the destruction of the huge Buddha statues in Bamiyan in 2001. The Taliban also destroyed hundreds of ancient monuments in Afghanistan. Everyone is aware that the Taliban have travel record of destroying cultural artifacts and killing artists. They have brutally killed and destroyed a large number of Afghan artists. As an historian artist, for the last 2 decades, my numerous paintings depict the history and culture of Hazara people of Bamiyan. I have received awards from my work from the Bamiyan Mayor and Ministry of Culture and Information of Afghanistan.
We can't hear you, Mina.
Hello?
Yes,
Hi.
Mina, we can hear you right now.
Yeah. Okay, sorry for the disconnection. So, I have been considered as an infidel and polyistic. My paintings has explicitly and supplementally political messages which advocate against the ideology of Taliban. Also, my paintings shows the Buddha statues in various forms which are not acceptable to the Taliban under their own Sharia law. The Taliban consider paintings and sculptures to be polyistic, so it is permissible to shed my blood and destroy my works. They could destroy an artist's many years of hard work in a matter of minutes. The Taliban has sent threatening letters to me many times. In October of 2015, I received an official threat letter from the Taliban that said if I do not stop drawing statues and painting, then the Taliban would harshly punish me. I shared this letter with the local authorities and did not publish my work openly. Also, I did not participate openly in events and ceremonies for a while. Even if the current situation become normal and the Taliban establish a government, I would not be able to work as an artist. My work has no place in the extreme Islamic government of Taliban. For sure, I would be accused of being infidel and would be severely punished. Now, as an artist and writer, I call on the world's cultural committees, humanitarian rights organizations,
Mina, I think we've lost your audio again. She might be facing some connectivity issues. Can you hear us, Mina?
Let's wait for a minute. Yeah.
Hello? Sorry for the disconnection over the time. I do not have any stable internet connection as I'm using public Wi-Fi. So sorry for that.
No worries, Meena. Would you please continue?
Thank you so much. So I'm repeating once again the request of my father. As he said, now as an artist and writer, I call on the world's cultural communities, human rights organization, the United Nations, and other cultural institutions around the world to work for the survival of Afghan artists and cultural figures. Thank you so much. If you let me to share some of my father works here.
Yes, please. Meena, are you presenting? I think we lost her again. Sarah?
Yeah, I think let's proceed.
Yeah, let's proceed.
Okay. Our heartfelt gratitude to all our speakers for sharing their experiences with us today amidst the chaos that is their life right now. And I also thank our volunteers and our student host, Tasnuba, for moderating this part of the program. May I now invite our Honorable Acting Vice Chancellor and also the Dean of School of Arts and Humanities at ULAB, Professor Shamshad Mortaza, to address the audience, please.
Thank you, Sarah. Distinguished guest, keynote speaker, Professor Himadri Lahiri, Special Advisor to the ULAB Board of Trustees, Professor Imran Rahman, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We just heard some heart-rending accounts of 3 brave Afghan women. Their narratives are not unique, but they do represent, an entire country and the trauma that they're experiencing. I was going to say that I'm happy to greet you on behalf of the University of Liberal Arts, Bangladesh. But after hearing the narratives, I am not sure, whether I should use the word happy or not. As Tosif was saying, so as the convener of this colloquium, this all started with a simple Facebook post. So Tosif used to teach at Asian University of Women in Chittagong before moving to Italy, and he is now with us as a research fellow. So when he posted one of the letters on the screenshots that he mentioned, I was deeply touched. And I told him, let us have a colloquium for a day. So this was just in September. As Tosif was saying that, we did not have enough lead time. So people around us, so we were actually having another conference at that time, and everybody said, it would be unrealistic to have 2 back-to-back international events, But here we are. Within 2 months' time, we're having a colloquium, which has actually transformed into a 2-day international conference. We have more than 70 papers, more than 100 creative submissions, roundtable discussions, plenary speakers, and whatnot. And this goes on to show that the critical empathy that Tosif mentioned, that how deeply touched we are. We all have something to say about the image that troubled us. The particular image of human beings clinging onto an aircraft at Kabul airport, skidding off the wings of an aircraft. So that's surreal. That's absolutely something that you cannot imagine even in your nightmare. And we were glued to TV screen. We were watching those images again and again, and still we could not make sense of what was going on there. What were they trying to do? Were they really thinking that they can cling on to the wing of an aircraft like Superman or one of the Marvel heroes? So what were they trying to prove? And I was looking at the abstract of Professor Himadri, Lahiri, and he mentioned the word spectacle in Stuart Hall's terms. So this is a performative act. This is a spectacle indeed. This is a suicidal effort to use your own body to get attention to the crisis that was unpacking and unfolding at Kabul airport. And the airport is, kind of an epitome of the crisis, that we have just heard about, so the bus journey, like, hiding the passport, and now, sharing bathroom and sharing a public space, sharing not only the Wi-Fi at a refugee camp, so in different parts of the world. So that is the reality that we are all experiencing. So as a university which has liberal arts as its name, we are committed to exploring, these issues. We do not want to engage ourselves with, with text alone. We could have said that, yes, it's all about, Syed Mustafa Ali, a globetrotter, how he experienced Afghanistan, how Rabindranath Tagore imaginatively reconfigured, the Kabuliwala figure. So we can talk about Kite Runner. We can talk about, all the Netflix movies like, Good Kill or Breadwinner. We can talk about all these, narratives that are available out there. But it is also important for us to humanize those accounts. And what you have just experienced with these, 3 students who have been paired with our own students, we wanted to have that human-to-human connectivity. And that's what this colloquium is all about. This is an academic platform where we will engage, with scholars, with critical thinkers, and we will talk about these issues. So we do not want to confine ourselves to text in here, in a library, in our Kindle, so we want to engage with the text out there. We need to read the world as a text, and we need to understand and we need to make sense of that text making process. So thank you so much for joining in. And I'm sure you'll experience the other papers also, the discussion that we have to offer. And again, I'm very thankful to our keynote speaker, Professor Himadri Lahiri, for agreeing to present a keynote on such a short notice. Professor Lily Want, Professor Claire Chambers, for being the panel members of the plenary sessions and the roundtable discussions and so on. So thank you, dear participants. Thank you to our colleagues, especially the head of the English department and her team at the English department, Zaki Rizwan, Sarah Anzuman, Mehek, Sumaya. There's so many names, and I do not want to name everyone, but and of course the volunteers. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Mortaza, for your heartfelt remarks. I would now like to request our special guest, Professor Imran Rahman, Special Advisor to the ULAB Board of Trustees, to share his remarks with us, please.
Thank you very much, and a very good morning to everybody. Very good evening if anybody's in a different time zone. But just like to start by thanking our Dean of English and Humanities and Acting Vice Chancellor, Professor Shamshad Murtaza, and the Head of English and Humanities, Associate Professor Arif Rahman, for inviting me to this amazing event. Congratulations to the whole team for pulling this off at such a short lead time. And I'd like to also welcome all the participants here, the young speakers who have just heard. And I'm sure this is going to be such an important and useful two-day conference. I was just reminded, hearing the heart-wrenching tales of the 3 young Afghan speakers just earlier on, of of our own 10 million Bangladeshi refugees had to seek shelter in India because of the genocide being carried out by the Pakistani army. But one difference here I see is that in most cases that in those times, the young people who were just uprooted, I believe most of them were fortunate enough to be with their families. But in this Afghanistan case, what is particularly distressing is the fact that so many of the young people who have had to seek refuge and safety abroad are on their own, and they have left behind their close family members, their parents, siblings, and loved ones behind. And that is, I mean, that must be such a huge, challenging aspect of that. So I'm extremely happy that ULAB has actually organized this event, particularly from the point of view of our students. And this is, as Professor Shamshad mentioned, that we are a liberal arts university where one of our values that we hold close to heart is empathy for others, particularly those who are going through challenges. And this is a wonderful opportunity for, ULAB students to kind of reach out their hands and tell their Afghan sisters that they're not alone, right? We are with them, and we will help them get through this crisis. And this is a very important part of nation building. And I hope that, ULAB and other universities and others organizations will do similar things where they will, offer opportunities for our young students to reach out to other communities, for example, the Rohingyas, any other communities where, we need to think beyond ourselves. And we need to, it's one of the things that you live for, that the ability to help others in distress. I think this is one of the most important aspects of being a human. So, this colloquium, of course, is about Afghanistan, and the word Kabuliwala in the title reminded me that, I am of the generation that I still remember the presence of Kabuliwalas or Afghanistanis. I don't know whether they're from Kabul, but certainly they were Afghans in the 60s, and you would see them in Dhaka city. It's unbelievable, because they stand out in their distinctive garb. And so, Afghanistan has even had a very long kind of connection with the minds, with the narrative of the people of this land. And then over the years, of course, with kind of famous books like Kite Runner and movies and other things, we've been reminded of this beautiful land called Afghanistan. And it's also a reminder that Taliban and similar organizations, which have a very narrow interpretation of what a Muslim country, how life should be led. I mean, they are trying to ram this down our throat, and under no circumstances will we just lie down and accept it. And I would also take this opportunity to kind of remind ourselves, particularly our young Bangladeshi citizens, that these kind of thoughts and ideas are also floating around in your own country. So you have to be careful. You have to talk to your parents, your siblings, your friends, that you can be a good Muslim, but that doesn't mean following a particular kind of frame of the Muslim experience that is forcibly with a gun laid down by organizations like the Taliban. And we have our own versions of that in Bangladesh. So we have to hold on to our cherished, freedoms that we received or we earned when we became independent, and we will not let anybody snatch this away from me. And the freedom I'm using in a very broad term, particularly, women who are usually at the worst end of these attacks by people who sow hate between nationalities. And we saw that recently, sadly, about the attacks on the Hindu citizens of Bangladesh who were trying to perform peaceful Durga Puja, but there was attack. And I think we also need to remind ourselves that the silent majority needs not to be silent, because in these instances, being silent is not being neutral. You're giving a message. So we need to speak out more and more on these kind of issues. And I'm very happy that this Afghan conference is going to explore something which is so fresh. We are able to hear from the mouths of these brave young Afghans who were here in Bangladesh, and I'm sure this is just the start of Bangladesh's and Bangladesh's young people's efforts to do their bit to be supportive of their Afghan brothers and sisters. So thank you very much, and I hope the conference will be a huge success. And if it's, I read somewhere that I'm supposed to launch it. Well, I'm very happy to launch this e-conference. So thank you very much, and very good morning to everybody.
Thank you, Professor Rahman, for your words. We will begin with the keynote address right after this shortly, but before that, to conclude the opening ceremony, may I request Ms. Arifa Ghani Rahman, Associate Professor and Head of the Department of English and Humanities, to offer her vote of thanks.
Thank you, Sarah. So it's no mean feat, as you've heard, to organize an international event, and certainly not within a month after another international conference just concluded here at the Department of English and Humanities at ULAB. But that is the nature of our department. We cannot pause when we see before us issues of such a serious nature as the happenings in Afghanistan. So we felt compelled to do our part, and thus was born this colloquium. I want to begin by expressing my profound gratitude to the keynote speaker, Professor Himadri Lahiri, for responding instantly to our request. Thank you, sir, for being with us. To the brave young women, Meena, Samira, and Khadija, and so many others like them, who have shared their harrowing experiences, I want to express my deep gratitude. You are incredible. My gratitude to all the speakers, moderators, session chairs, and contest judges who responded to our invitations unhesitatingly. To Professor Imran Rahman, always an incredible support. My thanks for accepting our invitation. My special thanks to Professor Shamshed Mortaza, Acting Vice Chancellor ULAB, for proposing the idea for this colloquium and guiding the rest of the team through it. My deep gratitude to Dr. Khan Tawfiq Usman for flying with the idea, coordinating with people worldwide, and bringing together this incredible event. I would also like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Mohammad Zaki Rizwan, Lecturer, English and Humanities, ULAB, for his unflinching support. Every technical detail and internal coordination has been meticulously overseen by him, including the detailed web page that he has built. My thanks to my colleagues Sumaya Kabir, Nishat Atia, Saran Jumbari, Meher Chaudhary, Mohammad Moshir Rahman for unquestioningly doing whatever was needed for the event, and to Nadia Rahman for supporting us. Gratitude is due to our fantastic team of student volunteers led by our TA, Shahriar Hussain Shetu. Thank you to Benazir, Tasneem, Tasfiya, Fauzia, Razin, Straboni, Habib, Sanjida, Tasneem, Mazabin, Mubashira, Afrida, Tasfiya Sabah, Faria. Thank you, Amimul, Abrar, and Fardeen for working with the contest showcasing, and our Scholars Program student volunteers, Monisha, Nishat, Meher, and Taznida. My sincere thanks to Abul Hashem, the PR manager, and of course, my gratitude to the IT team led by Atar Rahman Pramanik, Arif Billah, and everyone else in the team for their unending support. And thank you, of course, to the participants who have joined in from all over the world. I hope you have a fruitful colloquium. Thank you very much.
Thank you to all our respected speakers and guests for starting the inaugural ceremony of this event. We were supposed to have some time before the keynote address, but I think we can go right into it now because we were...
May I interrupt, Sarah?
Yes.
Sorry for the interruption. So as we go into the next session, we don't really have any time to lose. We'll just move into the next session. Let's try to request Meena Mushtaq once again to project a couple of her father's paintings as we prepare to move into the next session. chairs and everyone, please.
Sure, thank you so much for giving me the platform. So I am going to share some of my photo painting.
Yeah.
Can you see it right now?
Yes, we can see it. These are beautiful pictures. Show us some more, please.
Sure.
Perhaps the one with Bamiyan Buddha. Maybe.
So this is the two famous statues of Buddha and Bamiyan, which has been destroyed by the Taliban in 2001, and they two of the sculptures have been destroyed completely. So Alhamdulillah, most of the all of the citizens in Bamiyan are Muslims, but this is the culture, this is the history, the heritage that we have and we celebrate and cherish. But unfortunately, by the extremist group of the Taliban, these statues have been considered as infidels and insane, so they have been destroyed them. My father think that it's her responsibility to showcase his culture, his heritage to the world, and no matter what our ancestors have prayed for and cherished. So this is an attribution to that, and all of this is come from the perspective of and also noticing and idealizing the history and the paintings that remain in the cavage of the Buddha around the statues. So this is one of those photos. If I zoom in and you can see.
Yeah, thank you so much for thank you so much for presenting those beautiful paintings, Mina. And thank you all for your presence, the Afghan girls and the volunteers who have really connected with our Afghan peers, with their Afghan peers. Thank you.